For years now, Elite Dangerous has been defined by two identities, two gameplay arcs that never completely clicked together. One part of the game is a space sim that Elite Dangerous fans adore and very closely follow the original 1980s version of Elite. Precise ship handling, layered engineering, a galaxy with weight and character. And now, the famously unforgiving flight model. We all love it. Flight assist off. It's amazing. The other, introduced in 2021, height of COVID, was Elite Dangerous Odyssey as an expansion. The first-person ground game, combat zones in rust-coloured dust storms, claustrophobic settlements with alarms blaring, and the thrill of sprinting towards an extraction point as your shields collapse and the bullets pepper the landscape around you. Even some of Frontier's loyal players admit that the transition between the two identities really has felt uneven. On-Foot Combat has moments of brilliance. I love On-Foot Combat personally, but it hasn't got the depth and the range as the space combat and the space experience of Elite Dangerous has. Sometimes you get sluggish weapon handling, inconsistent AI, a bit of a floaty quality, to be honest with you, that kind of undermines the game and lets it down of it being a boots on the ground version of your commander. Although this is about to change, as Frontier announced that coming in early 2026, the Operations add-on aims to change all that. And the studio's most recent statement is the clearest sign that the developers aren't really just polishing the on-foot combat. The fight on the ground is about to feel smarter, sharper and more responsive. And that announcement kind of outlines these sweeping adjustments to weapon behaviour and damage types, and even the AI, all framed around that kind of philosophy. If Frontier delivers on this promise, it'll mark perhaps the most meaningful shift to Elite Dangerous's ground gameplay since Elite Dangerous Odyssey launched in 2021, and the impact on the long-term health of the game. It's an aspect that hasn't really been explored. There's been a couple of updates with a few delivery missions post 2021, and of course Odyssey didn't really launch to a huge fanfare, but look at the times. It was the middle of COVID. Everyone was struggling. But we're going to have a look at what's changing in regards to the tweaks that they're going to be doing on the 2nd of December, which also coincides with the Caspian Explorer release as well for arcs in Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous's first large exploration vessel. So let's see what they're going to do. First up is going to be faster weapon stow and draw. The quick draw, the quick stow. I'm not carrying anything, nothing to see here. And that's kind of what it is. All weapons will have a faster stow and draw time. On the surface, this kind of looks like a quality of life tweak. But to be honest with you, if anyone spent enough time in Elite Dangerous Odyssey, it could be really meaningful by changing the rhythm of your on-foot encounters. Like I said, I'm not carrying a weapon, nothing to see here. It's not really quite as tactical when you think about it, when you're caught between these two worlds of like your ship and also the on foot. But, you know, and it's also not as responsive as a modern shooter. A lot of people say, you know, it's on foot gameplay from like the early 2000s. That's a bit harsh, to be honest with you. But if you speed up the draw and stow, it'll do three things. It'll improve actually your responsiveness, and perhaps even increase player confidence. Retaliation becomes instinctive instead of saying, I've got to draw my weapon. Aggressive play becomes more viable instead of risky, busting a cap in someone really quick. Engineers, scavengers and infiltrators, that the current suits we currently have, will be able to cut between not only weapons but cutters, energy link tools, that sort of thing. You know, even the scanners for exobiology be a bit quicker. Either way, this stowage and drawing, I think, is going to be, game changing. It'll also make the combat feel more modern. I mean, it's not going to become Call of Duty or Battlefield, right? I don't think anyone's really asking for that. But it does need to feel like a 2026 game. It's got to be fast. It's got to be fluid. The weapon handling has to be quick to create that impression. If you're going to do on-foot gameplay, you got to get these things right. And this single change might be one of the most immediately noticeable improvements that players will feel the moment they step into a combat zone or into one of the operations scenarios. Now, I do love me a plasma weapon. I do an awful lot of my stuff with the sniper rifle and also the plasma pistol. Yes, I've engineered it up, but I like it. It suits me fine. This is perhaps the buff that's going to have the most impact, I think. Plasma weapons to have increased projectile velocity. Faster shots, man, faster shots. That plasma's going to be zooming off to bust a cap. It really is. Plasma weapons have always been, I think, I haven't noticed it as being a problem, but a lot of people shy away from them. They're flashy, they're fun, and they pack a punch. But their slow projectile travel time sometimes doesn't make them conducive against fast-moving targets. I don't notice that myself. I'm just going on what people have been saying on some of the forums. Firing a plasma shot at a sprinting NPC looks more like predicting the trajectory. But I like that. Anyway, it's all going to change. And they're going to increase the projectile velocity. This should accomplish two things. Plasma weapons will become more viable in combat. Marry that with the quick draw. And players with a level of skill will be able to be rewarded for accuracy rather than punished by the game's physics. And it should fit the identity of plasma again, right? Plasma should feel powerful, advanced, dangerous, quick, not like firing a glowing marshmallow at somebody. This velocity adjustment, right, should make plasma weapons a new high skill, high reward category and should be the meta. If they get it wrong, no one will be using any other type of weapon. If they get it right, it'll be nicely balanced, what with all these upcoming AI improvements, which we'll come on to in a minute. Now, rebalancing of the ammo clip size and damage adjustments, right? This is basically applying to the whole entire weapon meta. Select weapons have had ammo, clip size and damage value adjusted to align with the new balance changes. Are we going to get less in a clip of a plasma pistol? I got it all engineered up with more. I like that. I like having loads of shots. I still run out though. You know, that's the way it is. This statement by Frontier, right, is vague, but I think it's quite deliberate, to be honest with you. It leaves Frontier that room to rebalance, right, the entire arsenal. People push back too much against it, they have the option to rebalance. Now, low clip kinetic rifles should receive larger magazines. Energy pistols will get faster refill cycles. Heavy weapons should see improvement of handling and some damage per second tweaks. You cap a rocket off at somebody, nice big explosion, but it doesn't really have the effect, does it? To be perfectly honest with you, I've always noticed this. You hit someone straight in the mush with a rocket and they go, ha-ha, shields down. Anyway, either way, underused weapons will be nudged upward to make them worthwhile unlocking, like the standard pistol, the standard kinetic pistol. I mean, who the hell uses that? It should be more like the Magnum off Halo, in my opinion. Either way, a fresh, modernised weapon ecosystem should mean that each weapon will have a clearer role identity, better build diversity, and less meta stagnation. I use a plasma pistol. I don't use anything else. Simple as that. And anyway, the most important change in the whole announcement is going to be the damage type rework. Lasers will deal more damage to health, kinetics more damage to shields, and I'm assuming then, you know, plasma is that cross-type bonus. You know, who knows? Either way, lasers, anti-health, kinetic, anti-shield, reduced cross-type bonuses, well, you know, finally, every weapon is not a generic damage dealer. The right weapon for the right thing. And that will then promote builds. A kinetic and a laser. A plasma and say a kinetic. Who knows? Either way, how is it going to go? I mean, it's going to have to be, these new behaviours could reshape the encounters of the game, make it more of a challenge, a little bit of a higher difficulty. I mean, you step out your ship, you should be fretful, not just like, I'll take out that entire 40-person outpost personally with my plasma pistol, as I have done in the past. Either way, I think it's a really good thing. It's a good step towards unifying ground combat with operations and these tweaks. And if they get it wrong, they can always rebalance. That's the good thing about Frontier. They are listening to the community. Anyway, that's my take on the tweaks and the rebalancing that's going to be happening to Elite Dangerous Odyssey. The weapons, the damage, etc, etc. Wonder if we'll get some more suits. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Anyway, I've been Ricardo. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you soon.